Before we deal with who is playing, there's two forwards who aren't.
Yeah.
Everyone's curious as to how they've progressed or not progressed during the week.
Yeah, both are obviously not quite right to play this week. That's why we haven't selected them for different reasons. Charlie's starting to get there, and we think we've been one of those injuries you're optimistic around each week, but it's still just dragging out. So we're hopeful that he'll do a little bit of running this morning, and then he'll build through next week and see where it takes us. But at this stage, he's still an assess for even next week. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Todd's recovering really well. Again, he's had a couple of concussions in a short period of time, so we've been very, very cautious with that and making sure that we give him the best and optimally the best chance to come back and not have any other problems. So that's what we're doing there. His concussion symptoms have all gone. He's probably actually got more bit of whiplash scenarios with his neck, so he's having a little bit of an issue with that, which we're sorting out too. So we're again incredibly optimistic around next week, but you keep saying that, it keeps proving you'd be a little bit wrong. So we'll just treat each case on its merits, and we'll make those decisions when we get to them.
Fair to confirm a debutant, or are you holding back on that one yet?
No, I'm not confirming any debutants yet. We've got to get through training today, and look, it's debutant. I think it's unlikely we'll have a debutant full stop. So regardless what happens at trunk.
But could we just address the Hardwood thing? Your name seems to be linked, for better or worse, with that. Will you entertain any talks from any rival clubs before August?
I think it's really, really clear and really simple, and I think it's a great opportunity for me to make sure that is clear. Our position as a footy club has been really, really strong, and it's not going to change. Nothing will change. I've got a football club, and we've got a football team that we're really focused on, and our team will stay focused on that, and we won't let any distractions get in our way. We've been really clear right from the start, from the board right through to myself, that any individual at our footy club will stay focused on their job at hand, and that's my sole responsibility, and I won't buy into any other conversations around what may or may not happen.
Personally though, Ken, are you happy here? Do you want to be coaching?
As I said, we're not going to buy into anything other than it'd be foolish, because any comment I put out there now can be portrayed slightly differently than what it is. I have got a sole focus on the performance of this team, and our team has said right through the start of the year, we need to have a successful football season. The dangers with getting distracted in that are not something I'm going to entertain. So I'm going to stay focused on the footy club, the players, myself, all our coaches, because there's a team event here. It's not just me. It's a team event, and that distraction's not going to happen.
So it's purely a distraction avoidance thing rather than giving both parties or multiple parties time to think.
No, we've all said right from the start, and our players, our coaches, and myself have all said the same things. We need to have a good 2023, and that's what we've set out to do. So far, we're on track to be creating an environment that's making us successful, but we need to go right to the end of the season. We understand that round 10 doesn't count. You've got to get to the end. I've said that plenty of times, and I'm not going to get distracted by anything.
Does it add to the distraction, though, that it is still in August and there hasn't been a decision?
No, I can't consider how that could be the case based on the fact it was really clear from the start of the year this is where it was going to go. There was no distraction. The only distraction could be if we didn't make this clear, and we've made it really clear.
How about the coaching landscape in general? We've seen a couple of greats of the coaching game step away, others talking about burnout. Where does it sit?
It's real. It's 100% real. I mean, that's why the industry's been, the coaching industry's been really strong on supporting the increases in soft cap. I mean, it's clear to us that it's the biggest part of the industry that's been cut the most, and it's not got anywhere near back to where it should be. And when you have the stresses that all staff, not just coaches, all staff in the industry have to put up with and deal with, that becomes real. And the AFL have to sit up and take some notice. There's just too many things happening now that would suggest this is okay.
Told now far worse than when you started.
The stresses of the job. It's a really hard one to answer from a coaching point of view. Yeah, it doesn't get any easier by the day. It certainly gets scrutinised more, as we can see here this morning. You get scrutinised every day, but it's it is part of the job. But there's parts of the job that people just don't understand, and I can't expect you to understand exactly what those parts are, because this is a performance industry that has high pressure in it. But we know that going in, but it does seem to be it's wearing people out.
What does that look like for you, Ken, say week to week? How have those stresses added or changed your week?
Oh, they don't necessarily. I mean, the thing you have to do is you have to portray this person who's bulletproof almost all the time, and you can handle anything that comes your way, which most of us can, I think. Most of us can actually stand up and be strong enough to cope with that. But after a long period of time, I think you do pay a price. And some of the instances we're talking about now are completely different. You know, if we talk about Damien and Alistair, they're completely different scenarios. So I don't want to talk about them individually, but from an AFL point of view and a coaching point of view, and you know, the restraints that have been put on us since COVID are just a little unfair.
What was your reaction when Damien resigned?
Reaction? Shock, like everyone else, because he's been an absolute great of the game, and he's a premiership coach and a great football club, and you know, you have to be nothing but shocked from that. But you know, when you sit back and take it all in, you can understand at some point the end comes, and you know, you're looking for an opportunity, and he's, from what I heard, he's looking for an opportunity to freshen up before he approaches the next.
Ken, Ryan Burton noted the last time you played a team with an interim coach who got absolutely belted at North Melbourne.
I wish Ryan hadn't said that.
Do you have a sense of wariness about teams that just free up because?
No, I think Richmond are quite familiar with the people who they've got in charge, you know, and Minnie we know a little bit, and I know himself a little bit, having had dealt with him a little bit up on the Gold Coast. So I'd imagine they'll follow a pretty similar program and a similar game style. But there may be some tweaks. We talked about that with the coach playing group. There's some unknowns. We'll never quite know what those unknowns are until we start the game on Sunday afternoon. So we just got to be ready to bring our best, and you know, hope that our best will be good enough.
Do you become more wary because of that thought that they just free up because they've had some attention taken off them?
Not a team like Richmond. No, I don't think so. Not a team like Richmond. I think they've been a really successful team. It's quite different than some of the caretaker jobs that come about. They can come about through, more often than not, a team that hasn't been as successful over a long period of time. It's a very successful football club we're talking about, so I'd imagine they'll be pretty strong in their behaviours.
How creative do you have to be in attack again, like you were last week against Melbourne, where the thought was where you're going to get goals? How creative do you have to be this time again?
Yeah, we just got to keep looking for the opportunities to, you know, compare what the opposition have and see what we can bring and bring our absolute best. You know, we've basically done that 3 weeks now. I mean, Todd pretty much didn't play down in Hobart, and he didn't play last week, and Charlie didn't play last week. Everyone looks at the two pieces that are missing. I've always been comfortable enough to know, you know what, you don't lose everything. You lose a part of some person, but you don't lose everything. And Ollie Lord's coming and showing what he's been able to do. We've brought Frank into the side and seen what he's been able to do. We get Junior back this week. You know, we've been able to create it in different ways, but I think all clubs have to do that at some point. You have to find different ways to win, because even when the names are in your team, they don't necessarily always play well, but you need to create an opportunity to win, and that's what we've been able to do, you know, in a good period of time now.
Different challenge for Lycett this week. How does he feel after having that comeback game last week?
Well, I think we all feel really happy for him, for a starting point, and that we're comfortable enough to know that Scott's got a lot of good football in front of him, and that he's more than capable. I mean, Grundy and Gawn, but Nankervis is a bigger challenge. He's a fantastic ruckman, so he's a really, really big challenge for Scott, and Scott needs to be at his best. You know, we've had a good little break between games. I think that gives us the best chance, and Scott the best chance to be successful.
Do you read much into your recent MCG record across the last one?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, I don't like losing, but everything changes. I think round one we hadn't beaten Brisbane, you know, for, I don't know, 5-6 years or whatever it is. So there's always those trends and runs that go on in football. If you looked at them every week, you wouldn't turn up, I don't think. More often not all the tipsters in the world would have a nice, easy time, wouldn't they? They would get everything right, but we don't.
Tom Jonas' suspension, why didn't the club appeal that?
With the advice that we get from our people and our legal people, is it was not likely to be a successful appeal. So, again, we don't make those decisions lightly. We do them with all the detail in hand, and we come up with an answer. And it would appear throughout the whole season there's yet to be a tackle, sling tackle, whatever you want to call them, get off at a tribunal. So we're pretty clear.
Sense of frustration though. I mean, on the day holding the ball looked like a great tackle.
Frustration. I mean, I get, because the decision was paid. I mean, that's how quick the game is. That's why it's so hard to umpire. I think, you've got to be able to take in all angles and see all angles. We do get an advantage on Monday, don't we? We get a pause button. We get to fast forward and rewind, and we get to see what it all looks like. And I think the game's played instinctively, and some actions sometimes are really hard to take totally out of the game.
It's been a testament to your depth this year that you've sort of had this giver in one week, out the other, and you've been able to handle and cope on a number of fronts. Yeah,
well, a testament to our footy club, I think, is the way we've been able to stick to task, and regardless of the distractions, whether that be injury, whether that be anything else that's going on, we've been able to stay really focused on what we need to do. We understand that AFL football seasons are tough, and you need to get through in different ways, and at the moment we're finding a way.
Is this so bad in your development of leaders? Because a couple of years ago there was the question mark whether you had leadership on the field. The captain goes in and out. What's it saying of your growth in that field?
Oh, well, I suppose we're really comfortable with the growth of our leadership group. I mean, we've also got, Ollie, who's got great experience, Darcy, who's got great experience at sit under Tom. So that's significant. But there's emerging leaders under that too. You talk about Ryan Burton, you talk about Dan Houston, those sort of people who are emerging. And then there's some other younger players coming through as well that are showing great leadership. I mean, leadership positions are not just one person. That's really clear, but one person holds a title, coach, captain, whatever it is. It's not a one-person title.
Speaking of Houston, he was modest when asked if this is his best year so far. He's talking more about consistency. What have you seen of Dan Houston recently? He's
just maturing into a high-quality AFL footballer, and we've seen his growth consistently over the last 2 or 3 years, becoming from a fair way back to now emerging as one of the real high talents at half-back. But there's quite a few in the competition. There's some really good half-backs that are playing football now. So, and Dan, luckily enough for us, is one of those.
Let's check on Bloke. Is he in any doubt, or is he?
Yeah, no, he'll be in some doubt, but we've got to train this morning. The team, and he won't do much today. It'll be Travis's call, always has been now, at his stage of his football career. If he comes to me and says he's feeling like he can play, we will certainly pick him. But if he's not, we won't pick him.
Is Hugh cover for him, Jackson? Is he coming from Bloke?
Could be, yeah. He could be one of those options for us. But we've also got some other young people who have played. Meads played last week and deserves an opportunity. So Riol is coming back into the side. So it won't just be like for like. That's where it's hard for you sitting on the outside. You don't quite exactly know some of our thoughts.
Last couple of guys, someone like Zach Butters, who's in this unbelievable form, particularly.
Yeah, I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy that he's in unbelievable form, but I'm more happy that our team is in good form. And our team's showing some great resilience, and Zach's a great part of that team, and our midfield's a great part of that team, but so is our back line, so is our forward line, collectively, and Zach would be the first to say this. He loves playing his role, and last week was a standout game. Let's not get confused. I'm not trying to take anything away from what Zach's performance was last week, but I think it's a result of the team, and the team will always help individuals play at their best.
He sort of goes bright red and gets a bit nervous when you ask about how well he's going, and always wants to talk about the team. That humility, what sort of role does that play in the football you see on game?
I think it's a massive part of this footy club. Humility is a really important part of a good human being, and I think that's where we start and stop in lots of ways, and I think that's the way Zach's treating it. I'm really proud of him for doing it that way.
When you say stick to task, does it stand up, or does it have to change when you get so many changes in selection because of injury or concussion?
We always say in a process or whatever, individuals, all that comes together. But for us at the moment, we've got a pretty clear understanding of how we've been playing and why we've been playing well. I think if we can stick to that, regardless of, there is a breaking point. I've said this before. There is a breaking point with individuals, but the reality is, if your team consistently is playing in a certain style, it's easy to come in and be a part of it.
Will you do anything in the mid-season draft?
Again, not something that I've spent a lot of time on, other than Richmond this week. So I'm lucky. I've got a great team: Jason Cripps, Jeff Parker. They'll be doing all the work in the background. They'll be keeping me informed. I'll be keeping Chris informed all the way through, and we'll make that decision come next week some stage and see where we're at totally, and sit down and make a really clear decision on what we can need. If there's something there that can help any football club and you've got an availability, I think you take that opportunity, but you've got to make sure that it's going to be useful and helpful for the long term, not the short term.
Hughes coming from a fair way back in terms of injury and very slight build. What have you seen from him that has him on the cusp?
He plays footy really well, as in the way it should be played. He's really aggressive. He hunts the footy. He gets after the ball. He's actually learning. It's quite strange now, because I'm talking about, it was not long ago I was talking about Ebert and Boak and Gray teaching. I'm now talking about Butters and Rosie and Houston and those people teaching Hugh Jackson. It's really exciting part for us. But Hugh's learning off some really good people, and great credit where credit's due. He's really embraced the opportunity to be a part of a young dynamic group.